Hey guys, CDTVThaG here, and the G, of course, stands for glomerulonephritides. And today we are going to be reacting to the new Dreamville project, Revenge of the Dreamers 3. Now if it sounds like I have a slightly blocked nose throughout this video, it's because I have hay fever, which basically means I'm allergic to summer, and we're having some pretty nice days in Scotland for some reason right now, so it's hitting pretty hard. I believe 5 tracks were released from this project before it came out. I've only heard 2 of them though. I heard Middle Child, and the reaction to that is up on this channel, and I also heard Down Bad, which I recorded a reaction to, but I didn't like how the reaction turned out, so I just didn't upload it. And Middle Child I quite liked. Down Bad was a track that I just thought was okay. But regardless, that doesn't mean I'm not hyped for this project, because I very much am. It's been teased for so long. There's going to be a huge variety of different voices on here. There's people outside of the Dreamville camp as well. One I'm really excited to hear is Ski Mask the Slump God on the track Costa Rica. Haven't listened to it yet. I'm excited for that one. There's of course Reason from the TDE label. I'm excited to see what he does. He had an amazing verse on the song Seasons from the Black Panther soundtrack. There's even a DaBaby feature on the first track. I'm very interested to hear how DaBaby sounds on a track that also has J. Cole on it. That's a feature I wasn't expecting. So without further ado, let's just jump right into this compilation album right here. Track number 1, Under the Sun, featuring J. Cole, Lute, and DaBaby. Start of this project we've been waiting so long for. Okay. Starting off with a bit of a soulful sound. How is DaBaby gonna sound on this beat?
Nothing new under the sun, nobody fucking with sun. I got a couple of sons, a couple of guns. I got a suck in the thumb, that my little baby. She call me daddy like grandmama baby. If this Sunday dinner, my hand on the gravy. I woke up for some money.
Is that Kendrick?
Too many options here, tell me who you with.
Oh my god, that is.
I'm moving silence cause niggas be clocking my funds when they should keep eye on they bitch.
I'm assuming that's Lute, because I don't recognize his voice.
And wish a nigga would like Liam Neeson.
Oh, I just clocked the Liam Neeson line now. Alright, Lute was nice on here.
I just put diamonds on all of my teeth. Now they probably think I ain't intelligent. In the homicide unit interrogation, asking questions, you know I ain't tell them shit. My boyfriend in class, I hear her from the bathroom like 10 to 2.
He's got that typical DaBaby flow, but it's nice hearing it over a beat like this.
Don't come out at the garbage, I swim with the sharks. You ain't got enough heart, get a bigger pool. Wanna fight, but he bigger. I ain't really tripping. Reach under my shirt, grab a bigger too.
Good opener, man. Good opener. Everyone came through on this one. Okay, surprise Kendrick Lamar feature on this one out of nowhere. I wonder if there will be any other unlisted features throughout the project. I'm not expecting it, but it would be interesting. So DaBaby fit in much more over this beat than I thought he would. His flow, I guess, can just kind of fit with anything. You know, he has that kind of very consistent flow, and I liked what he was talking about with his lyrics here. You know, the first line of his verse was, I just put diamonds on all of my teeth, now they probably think I ain't intelligent. And those are very nice diamonds on his teeth, by the way. But yeah, he kind of established from the start that people's assumptions of him aren't necessarily correct. Lute had a really good verse as well. I'm not familiar with Lute at all, but he did really nicely on this one. And of course, Cole was solid on here too. So all around, just a really good start to the project. Track number 2, like I said, I've already heard this. I just think this track is alright, but I've only listened to it once before. Down Bad featuring EarthGang, J. Cole, Bass, J.I.D, and Young Nudy. This Young Nudy verse caught me off guard so much at first. I wasn't expecting this either. Jid's flow, man. I'm already liking this track more on my second listen. Don't know why.
Y'all had a year, but you let it go by. I was just fucked up. Little Jermaine got the same stories. That boy had the same bitch, the same marriage, bro. All hell, King Cole, first of his name, long may reign.
You know, I think the thing that kind of put me off J. Cole's verse at first was that the subject matter wasn't necessarily anything new, but on this second listen, I'm kind of appreciating his energy and his confidence on this track. On my first listen, I was like, oh yeah, you know, King Cole, I'm the GOAT, we've heard this stuff before. But on this second listen, it's not bothering me as much. The beat isn't bothering me as much. I'm liking this track a lot more the second time hearing it.
Hey, I'm a living, breathing, scheming testimony, so don't test me, homie. Put that knee on it, put a foot up that ass, you a stepping stone.
Verse is so good.
Tell your hoe get the dope in my time, making love to your thoughts. Gon' get in line, baby, slut up your mind, it's a brand new season. I'm a righteous heathen, I take on the challenge and I leave it bleeding.
Well, it's safe to say that grew on me. I mean, I still think Johnny Venus had the best verse on the song, so at least that's still consistent with my initial thoughts on the song. But overall, it's one that I just think is a million times better on my second listen. I guess because on your second listen, you already know what the sounds are, you know what to expect, what the beat's gonna sound like. You always kind of have at least a little bit of a different perspective. And this time it just connected with me way more. Way more. Track number 3, this was released as a single prior to the album, but I haven't heard it. Lambeau Truck featuring Reason, Cozz, and Childish Major.
Looking great but feeling bummy. I just ate but still I'm hungry. Feels like nymphos, they keep coming. Always something. Cop some things, but I ain't fed. Dreams alive, my wallet dead. But I'm in here reason to see what he think about how he been treated. TDE, cause I done been scheming. Quit just drop.
Okay.
Give me the cue. I heard J.I.D has been moving them units. All in our zero side. Boy, you niggas really up at the top.
Oh, okay, I like the concept that Cozz has to his verse so far. This is basically Cozz like using his moment on this track, you know, a track that's pretty early on in the project, is to say that he doesn't feel like he's getting the respect he deserves within the label so far, you know, or at least like the attention from the audience. But at the same time, he managed to shout out the entirety of pretty much like the entirety of TDE in his verse, which is really cool. It's cool to see Dreamville and TDE perfectly happy like coexisting. Imagine a Dreamville X TDE project. That would be beautiful. Please give us that.
So if I can't get a response from my label and get some more food on my table, we can turn this thing into a fable and take what I can if I'm able. Cole just put a bit of Lamborghini truck on the homies and God, we should rob that nigga. Rob that? Yeah, rob that nigga. Look, rob my nigga, you can try, but Cole.
Okay, they got a back and forth.
I ain't saying he adopt my nigga. Look, Cole do something, we can let a Glock squeeze up. Wait till ease up. I ain't really trying to get involved, my nigga. Look, we ain't got the same father or mother, but that's my brother. Look, let's make a deal while I go and rob Cole, you go rob Top. Cool.
They just had a whole verse about like robbing the respective heads of their labels. Man, this project is starting off good. This was another track that I really enjoyed. Favorite part of the song was just obviously that last verse where Cozz and Reason were talking about robbing the respective heads of their label. Like I think it was Reason saying that he'd rob Cole and Cozz was gonna go rob Top Dog. And it was nice to see some chemistry from that. You know, it wasn't a track where the features were just kind of randomly thrown on because they're two talented rappers. They actually worked together and told a pretty fun story within their verse. Great performances from both guys on here. They both sound hungry. Wasn't too crazy about the hook on this song. It wasn't bad, but that's the only part of the song I didn't really enjoy that much. Everything else on here was solid. Beat was simple on this one, but I think it worked perfectly for this type of song. Another good one. Let's move on to the next one. Let's keep it going strong. Track number 4, Swivel, featuring EarthGang. I've never been the biggest fan of EarthGang because I'm still yet to get fully used to their voices, but they're definitely talented.
Learn to make the best out of shitty situation, no complaining, no more and I leave the medicine alone. Had to make a way, we've been making waves, we've been making sound.
Shit that wasn't nice, was in paradise, was it lights back to back, many nights was on our own. Neighborhood on lock, fuck, we need the cop. That was way back, way for Rick and past the rock.
Not a bad one. I feel like that was a decent track more than anything. I know I said at the start, I'm still kind of getting used to EarthGang's voices, mainly Johnny Venus, because he's the one with, you know, the higher pitched, more erratic, crazy sounding kind of voice. But I actually think I am getting used to his voice pretty quickly. He was good on this song. He was probably my favorite part just because his voice does have that really kind of unique characteristic to it. I actually like Dr. Dot, the other member of EarthGang, a little bit less on here. Definitely the most low-key track on the album so far, one with a bit of a darker subtext to it. You know, it's about the two members in EarthGang kind of living with their head on a swivel because of the experiences they've had previously in their lives. I like the track conceptually and lyrically, but in terms of the sound, it was definitely my least favorite track on the project so far, but still not a bad song. We don't have a bad song on the album yet. This one was just alright. So now let's move on to track number 5, Oh Wow Swerve, featuring J. Cole, Zoink Gang, Key, and Maxo Kream. This should be an interesting one for me, considering I'm only fully familiar with Cole on this one.
How you scared to die, nigga? Don't believe that lie. I think that everybody happy that hell is a fabricated figment of imagination. I document my life with rap beefs, love songs, favorite albums, and years that my niggas got blood on. They sneakers from bodies they might have caught on. Judge knowing is the ending good or bad? Well, that's depending on you. And if you wake up in time, I know it's better to be sleep. That's why we hate the alarm. I feel you.
Oh, we're getting a switch? Okay. So it's a two-part track, Oh Wow and Swerve. Real quick though, that was a nice Cole verse on this one. It's definitely an introspective one from Cole on here. A big theme of, you know, perspective throughout it and how that can just affect how you see the world. So let's get into Swerve and see what this is like.
On the outside, chill it on the inside, and I know what inside out. Hey.
Okay, I thought I was gonna sneeze. I didn't. Oh, J.I.D. Oh, don't fade out. Don't fade out on J.I.D's verse, man. I was wondering why Jid wasn't listed as a feature on this one, and then it just faded out as we got to his verse. I definitely preferred the Oh Wow part of that track. Swerve was a lot more into a trap style song, like lyrically and with the beat. You know, Maxo Kream was talking on his verse about drug dealing, shooting guns, all that kind of stuff. To me, it did seem like a bit of a standard street rap type of verse. And you know, it was cool, it worked. I just definitely preferred the first half, which was the more kind of moody, introspective part of the track, had a bit more depth to it. I just really do hope, that we get the full version of that J.I.D verse someday. Still haven't got a bad track on this project yet, but the first three are definitely the highlights for me. Track number 6, Don't Hit Me Right Now, featuring Bass, Cozz, Young Baby Tate, Guapdad 4000, and Buddy.
Hey, I got the chopper, it's in like opera, I make it swoon the bitch. Don't hit me right now, don't hit me right now, don't hit me right now, yeah.
Guapdad 4000 on the hook. It's got nice melodies.
Closing and clothing and lying to open and hoping these niggas are trying. I smoke 'em.
I thrive. They die, I'm killing them. They dry, I'm dripping it. They crying, I'm tissue me.
Interesting voices on this one.
I'm doing something important, trying to get these racks. New day, new flight that I'm boarding, but my mind is in orbit. Gorgeous.
I say a prayer to bless.
Not a bad verse, bit standard, but not bad.
Still on 2%. Don't hit me right now, don't hit me right now, don't hit me right now.
I'd definitely say that's one of the more accessible tracks on the project so far. You know, we got quite a cool mix of voices on here. I think it was Guapdad and Young Baby Tate that had kind of like higher pitched voices, more melodic. And then you have Bass, Cozz, and Buddy, who are just like the opposite of that, you know, more deeper, more gruff voices compared to them. And it was a cool little mix, I think. It's a pretty simple track, but simple can work, and on this track, I think it does. It's also a good break from the generally moodier sound of the project, I guess, because it's not necessarily a dark sounding project so far, but it's definitely got a moodier element to it. The only thing I'm questioning right now is, I don't know how many of these tracks so far I'm going to listen to outside of listening to the album. First three I definitely would. This one I think I would. Not so sure about Swivel and Oh Wow Swerve. Track number 7, Wells Fargo Interlude, featuring Guapdad 4000 again, Buddy again, EarthGang, and J.I.D.
My lord, please hand me the bazooka.
It's alright, make fun of the English. Don't make fun of the Scottish, okay? The best part of the UK. Not sure about that hook, but the drum beat is bumping. Oh my god, Jid. J.I.D, man. Too good. Okay. Oh my god. Bro, I'm like burning calories listening to this song. At first, when I heard that hook, I didn't really like it, but by the end of the song, that did not matter at all. This was just pure energy. Buddy was way better than on the last song. J.I.D, man. Goddamn speedboat on the track. Johnny Venus? You need to understand, before this album, I didn't like Johnny Venus's voice. Every verse he's had so far on this project, I have loved. And Guapdad 4000, man, he's got an interesting tone to his voice. I could just imagine them having the most fun in the studio writing and recording this one. Wells Fargo? Alright, let's go to track number 8. I wonder if we'll kind of, you know, bring it back down to a slower vibe after that insanely up-tempo track. Sleep Deprived, featuring Lute, Omen, Mez, and Davion. Is that King Mez, or is that a different guy? Oh cool, it's the same guy that was on Dr. Dre's album. Might still be upbeat, but we're definitely bringing the tempo down a bit. Oh my god. I know we're only halfway through, but I've seen so many tweets saying this album is average. How?
If I say my life is such a cliche quote, but before I grabbed the mic, I was the first to try to broke. Saw my first deal off the realest shit I wrote. A match one before you blow. I always leave a message on scene, cause I don't smoke.
Oh, nice like match firework play there.
Had so many adventure times, we used to run from the chase. To make it for Southside, we do whatever it takes. I ain't never had none, Yeah, I had to work for it. Pray to God every day. Even
Take it that's Davion.
we all come from a very different path. Look at what we've been through. Look at where we at.
I got this bird box, simply go for blind date. Now I'm in a tri-state.
There's barely been a bad verse on this thing. So on this one, I think Lute and Omen were talking about girls that they met on their verse. I really like the wordplay on Omen's verse. It was cool. They used that to tie into the whole sleep depriving concept. And then Mez, I think his verse was more about, you know, being more successful and people that are always worried about what he's doing. I think it's cool, you know, with these compilation albums, everyone can bring their own ideas and concepts and meanings to these tracks. And I think they did that well. Definitely gave off a more kind of lyrical boom bap style track. Track number 9, Self Love. I'm assuming we're going to get a slower, more kind of singing one on this, featuring Ari Lennox, bass, and Baby Rose.
I said, tired of being cordial, tired of being normal. Self-love is the best love. See, your love is the worst drug.
Wearing all of this makeup, and me was feeling complacent, sitting and feeling basic. Just lost in my thoughts. The cost of my art, we growing apart, you growing irate. As soon as we clash, you add you the cake. As for the date, it was like last June to May. We were like, let's do the break.
More R&B flavored track on this one. And again, guess what, guys? Guess what? I really liked it. So this Ari Lennox girl and this Baby Rose girl, I think they can sing. Self-love is indeed the best love, like the message of the song, but sometimes that can be the hardest love to attain. That's CDTVThaG chapter 215. One of my deepest quotes. Alright, so we're past the halfway point and I cannot seem to find the bad tracks. Track number 10, Ladies, 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 featuring T.I. and J.I.D. Okay.
You had the girl who was an artist, she could draw her name Tracy. She always out the line making Mona Lisa faces. I used to have this white shorty always hanging with the black folk. She used to bump black thought. I saw her using black soap. Then she asked me, can she say the N-word?
Hey, can I say nigga around here?
I knew a girl from Jersey used to love Donny Hathaway.
Oh, this is kind of giving me a same vibe as YBN Cordae, Location Ships, where he's talking about all these girls that he's been with from different locations. The wordplay is just so effortlessly slotted in there. Everything sounds just so chill and laid back with his voice. It's another hit on this album.
I'm thinking back to a time when I was young and dumb with single nigga privileges. I had a chick, her name was Lorraine, did anything for me. My baby went in the stores and did a thing for me. Even ran for police and got it back on the train for me. If I fucked a bitch real good back in the day, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking like real good and like made her feel, you know, like the woman that made her into the woman that she is right now. I expect somebody should be coming to fuck me real good any day now. I mean, it's karma, right?
Love this. The way T.I. and J.I.D. played off of each other was really cool. They definitely seemed like they were really purposeful with the choices of who would be on each track within this project, because they all just work so well together. These guys, like, they just have this instant chemistry on pretty much every track. Everyone on here has that instant chemistry. Really just laid back, chilled out, fun track. We've got a great mix so far of bangers, relaxed tracks, hyped up tracks, lyrical tracks. Track number 11, Costa Rica featuring Bass, J.I.D, Mez, Buddy, Jace. Oh, why not I Am Jace? Why isn't I Am Jace on this one? Reese LaFleur, Ski Master Slump God, Smoke Perp, and Guap Dad 4000. That's 10 features.
Smelling like money and I'm looking like sex. I'm outside for real with the slimes and the snacks. Demons, they follow me deep in the dark. Niggas got problems with being a boss. We ain't been home, but we hear all the talking. Go get the grain like I'm battling the silo. I'm going out west like a motherfucking 5-0.
Baby, and no rich styles on you lately.
Not too hot on the hook, because it just sounds like Tory Lanez, but not Tory Lanez. But apart from that, I'm liking the verses so far and the energy of this.
Got a lot of bands in Costa Rica, a lot of hoes in Costa Rica. Got a passport in my pocket, and I flew with a stick, it's a rocket. Top of the morning and anybody who thought it was Betty by Jitty. I'm like a Jedi, mind tricks live inside of your head. I devilish red eyes, never been on a red eye. I flew to Costa Rica with the AP. At the airport, this girl asked me, hey, are you Swilly? Wow.
I guess they do look kind of similar, Swaley and Jizz.
For the cap of hair, I ain't even mad. I started sucking on the titty, put my thumb in the ass. She had a little.
I don't need to hear that, man. This is a message to all rappers. I don't want to hear lyrics about you putting thumbs in asses, okay? Let's just keep that out of the music. Keep that in the bedroom. I don't need to hear it.
Too much skills, I feel like the water, so surprised I did not go kills. And I am your father like you was Luke Skywalker. And I concur and let it burn like Usher's perm and kill confirmed. Hey, going on a date with an AK. Yay, okay, going on a date with an AK.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Favorite verses were J.I.D and Ski Mask. Ski Mask was pretty good on here. Kind of what you've come to expect from Ski Mask's verses. It was a nice energetic verse, but J.I.D was definitely the standout on this one. On a song like this, you know, you just need to come in and flow. That's what I feel like. With this song, you just need to flow well. That's what pretty much most of the people did. And it didn't feel super cluttered for a track with 10 features on it. A fairly good track. I don't know if it's one of my favorites, but it's a fairly good one. Track number 12, 1993, featuring Buddy, Smino, Cozz, EarthGang, J.I.D, and J. Cole.
I push back like USPSUS a BH. Yo, shut the fuck, hey, don't even rap, nigga.
Got cut off. I was getting into the flow of his verse there.
Can I smoke, nigga?
I'm about to slap this man's.
Side bitches, side eyes, light skin, knee stitches. Mind your business is slurring my verbiage. Looking for sluts, oh, I know a couple.
Hey, nigga, come on, like, stop rapping, start passing.
Is this gonna happen with every verse?
Prisoner, the prescription has changed. Shackle Jack Daniel, shot it, trying to tell my motherfucker. Hey, did not say, nigga. Hey, we can't.
Oh boy.
No guts like that, switching, we just smoke, we cut those niggas ain't.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Definitely the track that kind of got on my nerves the most. It's an interesting concept, each verse being cut off by someone who just wants to smoke. You know, it's kind of like they're freestyling in a circle, and then this guy just keeps cutting them off, like, hey, pass the blunt, blah, blah, blah. But it really stops you from getting immersed in the song, in my opinion, because you just know that every verse is going to be cut off. You can't fully enjoy them. I don't see how this is something I could listen to more than a couple of times. Just the most irritating track on the album so far. So let's move on. Track number 13, Rembrandt, Run It Back, featuring Vince Staples. I didn't know he was on here. Okay, Vince Staples, J.I.D, and J. Cole. That is a good mix.
Shit talking, slick talk, pissed off, stick talk, this track, get mad.
No slut shaming, money in the Cayman. I'm a Paul, niggas swear they banging. Feds got me singing, on the squad, pulled up, one deep, no squad, just me. This is my year, don't say I ain't told you, nigga.
Y'all give a damn.
It's okay verse from Cole.
Hey yo, hey yo.
Oh.
I had a dream, I had a glide, I had a beam, running back. I had a dream, swing to lean, let me supreme, running back. I finna bring the summer back, I finna bring the Hummer back.
Yeah, that was another one of my least favorite ones on the project, I think. It was one of the more minimal songs for sure, and I just wasn't feeling it that much. I didn't really get that absorbed into the vibe of it. Cole in particular, I just don't think when he's like super monotone and kind of like cold sounding, it doesn't really work for him, I don't think. Especially on a beat that's quite stripped down like this one as well. I don't know, Cole's verse was just kind of very uninteresting to me on this track. Not that great in my opinion, but the Vince Staples part after the beat switch was definitely my favorite part. It's just that that was so short that it didn't really save the track or anything like that. So Costa Rica was like, okay, this is still a pretty good song. And after that, it started to dip a little. Track number 14, Sunset. And this one is featuring J. Cole and Young Nudy.
Roses are red, diamonds are blue, pockets is green, a permanent hue.
Monotone J. Cole with stripped down production again.
Big ass shop and make God flinch. Ducking from the boys in the field. On that note, pull up on them folks in an all black ghost like Christmas past. Vicious ass.
Okay, that was a good line. That was a good line.
Post blank block, ain't no hesitation. Hit you with a stick, try to run, you gon' make it big bang roll, ain't no big face. Spread in your face, make a motherfucker hate.
This is one of the songs where I feel like the chemistry is not there at all. Yeah, that was most definitely my least favorite song on the project. Young Nudy, he just was so like passable on here for me. And him and J. Cole are just such a strange combo. It doesn't work at all. And I don't mind J. Cole working with people that are considered to be more kind of like mainstream mumble rappers, because J. Cole kind of seems like a person that's trying to bridge the gap. But I don't know if Young Nudy was the right feature for it. It's just, it didn't work for me at all. The chemistry wasn't there. The track overall was just really dull. Next up, track number 15. I'm assuming we got a little bit more of an R&B one here. We've got Me, featuring Ari Lennox, Omen, Ty Dolla $ign, and Dreezy.
Now do you wanna know what I'm thinking right now?
Oh, I love Ty Dolla $ign's vocals, man.
Call me when you need somebody. You do it for your
When he harmonizes his vocals like that and it just sounds angelic. Oh.
Ooh, you wanna like it. Ooh.
Bottom of your shoes,
make a nigga think you pyro. Used to have the blues, but too prideful to show you everything.
This track has an interesting placement in the album. I like it, but it's strange positioning it between Sunset and Middle Child. They got a completely different vibe to both of those.
Kinda love when they don't change. If I'm natural with extensions, I got you. I heard some rumors, I'm just hoping they ain't true. Like niggas, they give me full attention. No matter who he round, is cute when he get jealous. A nigga try me, make that Uzi sound. And if them bitches asking who you with, just know it's all me.
Nice. Yeah, so like I said, strange positioning for this one, having it between Sunset and Middle Child, when it's a track that's got, you know, much more of the vibe of self-love. But, you know, apart from, like, strange placement, it's a good song. I did enjoy it. Ty Dolla $ign always has those heavenly vocals. Ari Lennox, I've learned on this project, has a beautiful voice too. Omen had a cool verse, again, coming through with nice little bits of wordplay. But definitely, I think Dreezy had my favourite verse on this song. It's a good song that makes me feel kind of relaxed and happy. Track number 16, I've heard this one, my reaction is up on this channel. Middle Child by J. Cole. We'll listen to it just to keep the consistency of the album, as we always do. T-Minus's production is so nice on this, man. I just poured something in my cup. I've seen a lot of people say that they don't like the auto-tune on the hook of this song, but I thought it sounded quite nice. I honestly don't mind the auto-tune on this song. Yeah, if you want my full thoughts on that track, the reaction will be linked in the description. So, second last track on Revenge of the Dreamers 3, we've got PTSD featuring Omen, Mariba, Deontay Hitchcock, and Saint Beauty. Oh, I like those kind of like rolling drum patterns. Just sounds like they're bouncing perfectly off of each other.
I wish I didn't never show it right. I know you probably rather be late.
A lot of dead niggas living through me shouted, but not in the literal. Most so dead cause they ain't follow their dream. The power of a higher entity into me. Trying to balance out the joy, the pain, the sun, the rain, my life and the fame, the loss, the gain, the guilt, the shame. Off the beaten path like Blueface on the north side, had to be
offbeat, Blueface. Omen has a lot of little slick bits of wordplay like that, just like these little one-liners.
Didn't believe when I seen you, I knew shit was true. Stared in your eyes and I saw a different you.
That was another pretty good song, but I'm feeling like at this point in the album, towards the end, it's feeling a little bit kind of like scattered and like they're jumping between all these different sounds. It was Sunset, which was kind of like that trap monotone sound, then Got Me, which was this really bright, vibrant R&B style track, then Middle Child, which was another more trappish style song, and then onto PTSD, which has some of those R&B vibes again, really chilled out, relaxed vibe. It just seems like towards the end, the album's losing a bit of its cohesion. But that doesn't mean this was a bad song, you know? Listening to this outside of the album, I think I'd really like it. And that little bit at the end from Saint Beauty, that singing was beautiful. You know, well chosen name. There's barely any bad songs on this project, man. Barely any. I can only think of like one or two that I didn't like so far. Track number 18, the final one, closing it out with a 6-minute long track, Sacrifices, featuring EarthGang, J. Cole, Smino, and Saba. I love Saba so much. Oh, I'm excited to see him on this.
I don't know. Nigga, I'm lost his head. Gotta run, gotta fly, gotta flow. Tennis on top of the dress. I make sacrifices.
Man, Johnny Venus has grown on me so much throughout this project.
We getting to the bread, trying to keep the shit low, but they ain't working. My struggle on fire like a circus now. Around the same niggas I've been around. I don't need nothing but one take. I'm from the part of the city where young nigga keep them on like 1+8. Our politician and fuck fade. All of them are the same. It's harder to tell them apart some days. I thought I'd call them out all together.
And I wanna damn near kill you to be the one to heal you up. I wanna be the one to fill you up. On nights when you need good to cheer you up. I wanna be the one to build you up. I've been so disconnected, my perspective is ignorant. When you rich niggas don't wanna correct you. Say something crazy, they won't interject. Do every drug that you want, they don't let you. Hugging the block, okay. She gave me the gift of my son.
Going a little bit more intense, I like it.
I'm crying while writing these words. The tears they feel good on my face.
Nice. J. Cole got a second child on the way. Sentimental, heartfelt end to the album. Good way to close it out with this one. And that did not feel like 6.5 minutes long. Can't complain about that at all. Like I said, definitely a more sentimental way to end the album. J. Cole killed this one. This was J. Cole's best verse on the whole album. 100%. This was his best performance on this project. And gave some really heartwarming bars to his wife at the end of his verse. That was some really touching stuff, man. All in all, a very solid close to this one. So, let's jump right into it. What are my overall thoughts on Revenge of the Dreamers 3 by Dreamville. Like I said earlier on, I did see a lot of tweets from people, and I think J.I.D asked what people thought about the album, and there was a lot of responses saying they thought it was okay. There's a few tracks they got from it, but they don't love it. I don't feel that way at all about this. I thought this was a great project, probably one of the better ones I've listened to this year. At most, there was like 2 tracks that I was kind of iffy on, that I was just, you know, I thought they were okay, and 2 tracks that I straight up disliked. And that was it. Everything else ranged from pretty good to incredible. I thought it was great. Before I dive more into my thoughts, let's go through favorite tracks and least favorite tracks. We'll start with least favorites. That's easier because there's a lot less that I dislike on here. Least favorites are 1993, Why Buddy, Why, Rembrandt, Run It Back, and Sunset. Interestingly, that's 3 tracks in a row. Favorite songs, man, it's hard to pick. Under the Sun, Down Bad, Lambeau Truck, Wells Fargo, Sacrifices. You know what, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna say 5 of my favorites. Those are my absolute favorites right now from the album. But like I said, there's plenty more that I think range from pretty good to amazing on here. I just think it was really well constructed, apart from towards the end where, you know, it did start to dip after Costa Rica, did get a little bit jumbled. But that does not ruin the project for me at all. Everything before that, for the most part, I entirely loved. You know, there's not a single track that I properly dislike in the first half or the first like 10 tracks of this. Pretty much all the features were chosen really well on here, and they were all implemented into the tracks that they were on very well as well. It seems to me like there was thought put onto who would go where and who would fit in best on what track. You know, I think a great example of that is Ladies, Ladies, Ladies. I wasn't 100% sure how a collab between J.I.D and T.I. would sound. I wasn't even sure if it was a track that would really work that well. Then I listened to it and they just fit together perfectly. There was the chemistry between Reason and Cozz on Lambeau Truck. Standout performers on this project for me were J.I.D and Johnny Venus. I'm pretty sure you can tell that from my reaction to their tracks, to their verses, sorry, already so far. Just phenomenal on here. I think J.I.D on Wells Fargo was one of the craziest things on this album. Same for Johnny Venus. If you thought that this album was just mediocre or okay, let me know down in the comments why you feel that way, you know, not in like a confrontational way or anything. I just want to see what your perspective is. I'm definitely going to run this back right after this reaction is done recording. I'm going to listen to the whole project again. Lived up to expectations for me. All that build up, in my opinion, was worth it. So, what did you guys think about Revenge of the Dreamers 3? Let me know down in the comments below whether you loved it more than me or disliked it more than I did. I'd be interested to see what you guys have to say. I would appreciate you subscribing, of course, if you haven't done so already, because we are on the road to 100k. We're around like 29,000 away, so keep hitting that subscribe button and make sure you turn on notifications if you want to see whenever I upload a reaction. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you all in the next one. Listening to this has just put me in a great mood, and this is CDTVThaG signing out.